What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC Vegas 69. We got Jessica Andrade going against Erin Blanchfield.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back talking some DraftKings, talking some DFS here for UFC Vegas 69. Not the best card in the world, not the best card at all, really, but I do think from a DraftKings perspective, it's going to be pretty exciting. I think that there's a lot of opportunities for some high scores here, and always looking forward to an opportunity to make money. So not a ton of complaints on the card. It's not the best one in the world, but, still we get a card Saturday, and I'm looking forward to playing some DFS. Before we get started and break it all down, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Be sure to check out dfsbythenumbers.com. I got the DFS article already out. Got the optimizer up and running already. Pretty much everything's out with the rankings, all that, all ready to go here on a Wednesday. I'm hoping none of these fights fall through. We do have 11 right now, so can't really afford to lose many fights, but we still have a couple days before these fights do start. Other than that, you can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, I'm always available over there. And then, just make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that live stream Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and then Saturday, going to be going live 2 hours prior to the prelims. The prelims start at 4 Eastern. I'll be going live at 2. So, should be a fun card. Should be a fun card. All right, we'll start with the fight doesn't go to decision lines. As always, we have 4 here. The first one, the one that sticks out, is going to be Zach Palga going against Jordan Wright. I'm going to have a ton of this fight. I'm going to have a lot of Palga, and I'm going to have a lot of Jordan Wright. Every time there's a Jordan Wright fight, you need to target it heavily, and you need to target both sides. We got Palga, who's 9,200. If Palga wins, there's a very good chance he wins by knockout. Jordan Wright, the guy has 16, 17 fights. Only one of them has went over 1.5 rounds, and it barely went over 1.5 rounds. Palga's not the best finisher in the world, but he's a guy that's coming down from heavyweight in his last fight, and Jordan Wright's coming up from middleweight. So I think Palga absolutely has the power to knock out Jordan Wright, but I also think Jordan Wright's going to have opportunities early. Jordan Wright is a pump play that I think needs to be owned this week at 7,000. Like, if Jordan Wright wins this fight, there's a good chance he wins it within the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds, just with the way this guy fights sometimes. And we did see Zach Palga knocked out in his last fight against Muhammad Usman. So, I like this fight a lot. I'm going to be very heavy on this fight, and I do expect it to finish probably within the first round and a half, and I think the winner scores very well. Next, we got Jessica Andrade going against Erin Blanchfield, another fight I'm going to target super heavy. The main event here, 5 rounds to work with. I don't think it's going all 5, though. I think stylistically, it's a very good fight to target. We have Jessica Andrade 8,500, and then we have Erin Blanchfield 7,700. I think whoever is able to implement their game plan, implement their will, they're going to score a ton. Whether it's Jessica Andrade stuffing the takedowns, keeping on the feet, if she's able to stuff these takedowns, I think she puts a clinic on Erin Blanchfield. On the flip side, if she is able to take down Jessica Andrade, I think she can put a clinic on Jessica Andrade. So I think this is a fight that is an absolute must-target main event, especially at these price tags. Jessica Andrade, honestly, she's one of the best DFS scorers out there. I mean, she put up a massive score in her last fight. She's really always putting up big scores, and we're getting her at 9,500, so I love me some Andrade. But if Blanchfield's able to pull off the upset, get these takedowns, we can see Blanchfield put up a massive score at 7,700. So another fight I love to target here with Andrade and Blanchfield. Next, we have Alexander Hernandez going against Jim Miller, another fight I think is really going to target. I think pretty much we'll talk about the next one in a second, but these 3 especially, I'm going to be very heavy on both sides. We got Alexander Hernandez, 8,900, Jim Miller, 7,300. I think both guys are live for an early finish. Typically, we both see these guys finishing early. If the fight does leave the first round, typically we see these guys slowing down a bit, right? Besides Jim Miller in his last couple fights, he's able to get that second round finish. I think he has 3 second round finishes in a row for what it's worth, but these guys do slow down as the fight goes on. I think Alexander Hernandez has the wrestling upside here. I feel like he can take down Jim Miller really whenever he wants. He's just going to have to mind his P's and Q's. And I think both guys have knockout upside. So another fight I think is a really good one to own. We got Hernandez 8,900, Jim Miller 7,300. Jim Miller I think is going to be a very popular dog. I think people are really low on Alexander Hernandez, but this is going to be a step down from the guys he has been facing. Moicano, Billy Q. I mean, this is going to be a big step down for Hernandez, and honestly, a step up for Miller, who's going out there and beating a retiring Donald Cerrone and beating some debuting fighters. So I do lean towards Hernandez, but Jim Miller is a dog I will be looking at this week for sure. And then we have Carpenter, Ronderos. Not going to have a ton of Ronderos, if really any at all. Clayton Carpenter, 9,300. We'll talk about him a little bit. I think he has wrestling upside, finish upside. Ronderos, I don't know if he's UFC caliber. He's taken almost 2 years off, got suspended. He's undersized for the division. I think Carpenter's going to be the better wrestler. I think Carpenter's dangerous everywhere. Money's pouring in on Clayton Carpenter, and I see why. So I'm more so on the Clayton Carpenter side here. 9,300, it's a hefty price tag, but I think there's wrestling and finishing upside. All right, let's get to our core plays here. AJ Fletcher, probably one of my favorite plays on the slate here. We got 9,100. He's going to get Stemba Garimbo, who I'm just not sure what he's doing here in the UFC. I mean, he's making his debut at 32 years old. He hasn't really fought the best competition. I think there's a big hole in his game in terms of the striking overall and just the takedown defense. He's getting taken down. He's getting put into bad spots. I feel like it's a get-right spot here for Fletcher, who's 0-2 in the UFC, but he's 0-2 against Ange Lusa. He's 0-2 against Matthew Semelsberger. This is a step down. I mean, this is a must-win fight for AJ Fletcher. If you can't beat Themba Garimbo, I don't know what to tell you. I think Fletcher gets him out of there very early. I think he has knockout upside, submission upside, finish upside overall, takedown upside. He should really go out there and finish Garimbo early on. There are some concerns with the gas tank, though. If Fletcher does not finish early, he does tend to slow down, and he is coming here on short notice. So it's not like a lock or anything like that, but he really should go out there and beat this guy and beat him fairly easy in the first round. So give me Fletcher, 9,100. I think the dude has a lot of upside. We talked about Andrade, 8,500. We talked about her upside. It all comes down to, can she stuff the takedowns? If the answer is yes, she's going to put up 150 points. Seriously, if she's able to stuff the takedowns, she is going to have an absolute field a day on the feet against Erin Blanchfield. I don't think Erin Blanchfield's a terrible striker, nothing like that, but I think the striking is going to be night and day here. Jessica Andrade, I love the forward pressure. I love the volume. I love the power that she brings, and I think she's really going to hurt Blanchfield if she's able to stuff these takedowns. So I think we're going to find out really early how this fight's going to play out, but I do lean towards Andrade finishing Blanchfield in that second or third round and putting up a big score. William Knight, 8,200. Yeah, it's an ugly fight, but it's a fight I think is important just at these price tags. 8,200 for Knight, 8,000 for Prochnio. Both of these guys have no durability. I mean, Prochnio knocked out 4 times, submitted before as well, I believe. All 4 of those knockout losses coming in the very first round. So yeah, Knight should go out there and have a really good opportunity to knock this guy out and knock him out pretty early. On the flip side, William Knight's durability is in question for me. I mean, getting knocked out by Devin Clark is not a good look. Devin Clark's not finishing anybody. That was Devin Clark's very first finish in the UFC. So you can't be too confident in Knight, but I do lean towards him. I think he's the more powerful striker. I think he has all the wrestling upside if there was to be any wrestling in this matchup, and I think he's probably the more durable guy, but like I said, I think this is a good fight to target both sides. We'll talk about Prochnio in a second. And then Alexander Hernandez, 8,900. And yeah, I think he has wrestling upside here. I think he can take down Jim Miller at will. We've seen Jim Miller taken down. We've seen him stuck on his back. We've seen him slow down as the fight goes on. It's just I do have concerns about Alexander Hernandez at this point. It's hard to be confident in the guy. It really is. He seems to kind of fall apart as the fight goes on, but that's what Jim Miller kind of does. I mean, like I said, Jim Miller's been better at it lately, but Jim Miller typically after that first round had nothing left the last couple of years, but now all of a sudden, looks like he has an extra couple minutes in him. So we'll have to see. It's a weird fight, but I think Hernandez has early knockout upside, and I think he has takedown upside. I think he has a ton of upside. It's just hard to trust the guy. So I'm going to be playing a lot of Hernandez, but on the flip side, you got to take a look at some Miller as a dog as well, because it's just untrustworthy. Let's get into our GPP plays here, our tournament plays. We got Zach Palga, 9,200, knockout upside. Jordan Wright's been finished how many times? I mean, Jordan Wright has 4 or 5 losses, all 5 of those coming inside the distance, including the Fluffy Hernandez fight, which was turned into a no contest, but we all saw Fluffy go out there and starch him in less than a minute. And Zach Palga, like I said, he's not the most powerful guy in the world. He's not some crazy finisher, but I think he has enough power to go out there and finish Jordan Wright if this fight does get extended. I do have some concerns about Palga's chin. I have concerns about him early on in this fight, but if he's able to weather that early storm, I think he takes over and finishes in his own right. So phenomenal fight to target. But Zach Palga is definitely in play at 9,200, as is Clayton Carpenter, 9,300. The wrestling upside, he was the more dangerous fighter in this fight. I think he has a good opportunity to go out there and finish a much smaller Ronderos, who I'm just not convinced on. I'm not sure this guy's UFC caliber. So I like me some Carpenter as well at 9,300. Nazim Sadikov, 8,600. I think he's in play. I like the volume that Sadikov brings. I think he has some wrestling upside in his own right, actually. We've seen Evan Elder taken down easily against Preston Parsons. I know that was against on short notice, up a weight class, but still, I feel like Sadikov has some offensive wrestling in him. He's really well-rounded, solid grappling. He can be put into some bad spots, but he's typically able to fight out of those. And I just really like the striking of Sadikov, the volume, the power. And I think if he does win this fight at 8,600, he can score decently. So I don't mind some Sadikov. If this was like a 14-fight slate, maybe I wouldn't get there, but we only have 11 fights to work with, so Sadikov's somebody that did stick out. And then Kassim Ashkabab, 8,300. I think this is a very important fight to target. We have Ashkabab, who is coming in here, up a weight class. The dude's not fought in 3 years. He's 23-0. I think people are going to be very high on this guy. I'm not convinced on him personally. I'm not sure how good he is. He has not fought anybody remotely good. This is going to be the toughest test of his career, but if Ashkabab does go out here and win, you got to expect a lot of takedowns. I mean, this guy's going out there and taking guys down super easy. He's a solid grappler. He's dangerous as well. We saw Emmer submitted in his last fight. If Ashkabab wins this fight, I expect a big score out of the guy. Like I said, I'm not fully convinced. I think his record's extremely padded. This is going to be his first true test ever, but if he does win, I see a high score. I see the winner in this fight scoring very high, the Ashkabab-Emmers fight. All right, going to our live dogs. Speaking of this fight, Jamal Emmers, 7,900. I think he's a very live dog here. Like I said, if Emmers fought the competition of Ashkabab, he'd be 23-0 as well. Ashkabab has not fought anybody remotely good. Emmers, doesn't have good fight IQ, but he's well-rounded, really good striking, volume, power, good cardio, brown belt in BJJ, wrestling background, high school, college. A lot of things to like about Jamal Emmers outside of that fight IQ. So maybe he makes a mistake in here, but if it turns out Ashkabab is not as good as that 23-0 record indicates, Emmers can pull off this upset. I think he's going to be low-owned, so I don't mind some shots on Jamal Emmers, but like I said, this fight as a whole, I think scores very well for the winner. So I think it's a very good one to target, whether you're on the Ashkabab side or whether you're on the Emmers side. I'm going to be having both sides. I do lean ever so slightly towards Emmers, but Ashkabab, if he wins, I think he scores well as well. Erin Blanchfield, 7,700. Yeah, she's definitely in play here. I mean, I think this fight, I do like Andrade quite a bit, but if it does turn out, Blanchfield gets this fight down to the mat, it could be bad. I mean, Blanchfield's ground game is ridiculous. Black belt in BJJ, her ground and pound's phenomenal. And if she's able to get on top of Andrade, it could be bad. And on the flip side, like I said earlier, if Blanchfield cannot get down Andrade and this fight plays out on the feet, it could be bad. I think both fighters have paths to score very well. This is a must-target main event. Jim Miller, we talked about him a little bit, 7,300, first round upside. Second round upside, finish upside in general. We've seen Hernandez finish multiple times. And yeah, Jim Miller's only 7,300. I think Jim Miller's a very live dog this week, but it's a little bit tougher of a matchup than, a Donald Cerrone, a Nicholas Mata, a Ghost Pepper. I mean, this is a step up for Jim Miller, a step down for Hernandez. Hernandez is coming in on short notice, so there's reasons to like Jim Miller, but there's also a lot of reasons to like Hernandez. But yeah, I think the winner in this fight scores really well. I think there's finish upside on either side. I think if this fight does go the distance, I lean towards Hernandez winning that. But yeah, Jim Miller's definitely in play at this price tag this week. Marcin Prokhnov, 8,000. Ugly fight, but I think you got to target it. William Knight got finished by Devin Clark in his last fight. Enough said. I mean, that's enough to make me put some on Marcin Prokhnov this week. I do lean towards William Knight. I'm going to have more William Knight, but Prokhnov, I think he's actually going to be pretty low owned. I think he has finish upside. Like when Prokhnov wins, a lot of the time it's in the first round. He's a ton of first round finishes. So it would not completely shock me if he went out there and knocked out William Knight. So another really good fight to target this week, that Knight Prokhnov fight. Sloppy, ugly fight, but it's probably a good one for DK. Pump plays. How about the ultimate pump play in Jordan Wright? I mean, this guy is a pump play every time. He's always in play. He's always in play for about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. He's super dangerous, and I'm just not sold on the durability of Palga. Like, Jordan Wright's going to have opportunities here. Jordan Wright has one of the highest upsides on the slate because he can go out there and win. He can go out there and win in 60 seconds. It's going to be there. But If he does not finish Pauga in the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds, we all know what's going to happen. He's going to crumble. He's going to get finished in his own right. But you got to take some shots at the upside. I mean, he's not somebody you really want to probably play in cash games, but for a tournament perspective, yeah, play some Jordan Wright. Go out there and hope he gets a knockout in the first half of a round. Because if he does, he's going to score well and he's going to be on the optimal lineup. So Jordan Wright, he's a pump play each and every time, no matter how bad people think he is. And then fades, yeah, pretty easy fade here. Mara Bueno Silva, 9,500. Look at that smile, by the way, from Mara Bueno Silva. What is she doing? Anyway, that's a lot. That's a lot for Mara Bueno Silva. I mean, she's going to go out there. She's an incredible grappler, but she just doesn't go for takedowns. She's completed no takedowns in the UFC. She's attempted only 1 in 8 fights. She's going to go out there and strike with Lena Landsberg. I think this fight's probably more competitive than the salary indicates. Just no reason to play Mara Bueno Silva here unless... I think she's like armbar from, if she gets it like armbar from guard in the first round, I guess she can maybe be on the optimal lineup, but she'd have to either go for a takedown, which doesn't happen, or Landsberg's gonna have to go for a takedown, which I think would be a pretty big mistake. I don't know, just a fight I'm okay with passing on, especially 9,500, don't want to get there. All right, guys, we went through it. Yeah, not the best card in the world, but looking forward to it, looking forward to this slate. I think it should be fun. Good main event. And that's about, I don't know, there's some okay fights on this card. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, check out DFS by the numbers. Check out that DFS package, $10 a month. The optimizer makes it worth your while right there. Also got the targets, the rankings, the projections, the stats that you see on the Friday and Saturday show. Just a ton of content on there on dfsbythenumbers.com. The Patreon's still up if you guys prefer the Patreon platform as well. So be sure to check that out. And yeah, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and best of luck for UFC Vegas 69. See ya.